First in high definition from the station on your side, this is WAVY News 10.
Are you hurricane ready? Irene already slammed through Puerto Rico, tearing down trees and knocking out power. Find out where this dangerous storm is headed next. And a man fell into a local river. See how rescue crews dived into action to find him. Plus, a man accused in a violent rape is behind bars. Tonight, find out what key piece of evidence led police to the suspect. That key piece of evidence? DNA.
Well, police have now been waiting since July to find out if there was a match in that system. Over the weekend, they got a hit and a name. Police say the DNA from the crime scene matched Jorge Perez Paez. They arrested him on Saturday. 10 on your side, Surrey Crow joins us now from the City Center with the very latest. Surrey.
Alvita, this is a huge break in this case, and this is where it all went down. Detectives arrested a man at this Mexican restaurant Saturday night, a man they say is a vicious rapist and potential murderer. Tonight they say the streets are a much safer place now that he's in custody. A victim's description leading to a sketch, a bicycle left behind at the crime scene, a trail of evidence police say this man, 23-year-old Jorge Perez Paez, left after he viciously attacked and raped a 25-year-old woman on Jefferson Boulevard over the 4th of July weekend. But the most important piece of evidence he left behind was his own DNA. A hit in the national database helped detectives finally track him down.
We got a notification through the Department of Forensic Science that the DNA we collected from our crime scene matched DNA from a similar case in California.
Shortly after the attack, the victim spoke with 10 on your side.
I just don't want him to think that I'm just going to sit back and he's going to get away with it.
And according to police, he didn't. Only now are police releasing details of the vicious attack. According to the criminal complaint against Perez Paez, he raped and sodomized the woman, then strangled her and left her for dead under a pile of leaves in the woods. During the attack, he allegedly told the woman she was, quote, going to die in these woods tonight.
Extremely dangerous. It was one of the more grievous crimes I've investigated.
Police tell us that the horrific nature of the case left them determined to bring this young woman the justice she sought.
She's ecstatic, to say the least, that this guy is in custody.
Detectives believe Perez Paez may have left a string of other victims along his path.
We're hoping that if there are other victims, they may see this and know now that it's safe to come forward because he's in custody.
Now, Perez Paez faces a slew of charges, including rape, malicious wounding, and attempted murder. He's being held at the Newport News jail. There is also an immigration hold on him. Detectives tell us he is in this country illegally. Now, coming up at 6, we'll explain what critical role the people at this restaurant played in bringing this wanted man down. Alvita?
All right, we'll look for that report coming up later. Thanks a lot, Surrey.
Norfolk police have not identified the body. Divers pulled from the Elizabeth River this afternoon. Someone called 911 after seeing him flailing in the water near the pagoda in downtown Norfolk. 10 on your side's Melanie Woodrow joins us now live. And Melanie, you spoke to the man who made that call?
I did. Unfortunately, he didn't want to talk to us on camera. He said he was just too shaken up by all of this, but he did tell me off camera, as you said, that he saw a man flailing in the water and screaming for help just over my shoulder in the Elizabeth River. As Norfolk Fire and Rescue combed the water, divers suited up.
A couple folks said they heard what they thought were screams, muffled screams, and then it went silent.
Norfolk police spokesman Chris Amos said a worker remodeling a condo in this nearby development called 911. Using sonar technology, divers knew there was someone in the Elizabeth River.
We're able to locate what we believe to be the body, about 18 to 20 feet down.
How that person fell in is unknown. Amos said there was no sign of crab pots or fishing gear on the pier. It appears whoever fell in was alone. Amos said the water is warm, and for a drowned victim, that's a bad thing.
If you're under, the colder the water, the better your chances are of surviving.
Just before 1:30 p.m., officials pulled a man's body from the water, the one person who may have the answers to investigators' questions. And as of right now, police have not identified the man who went into the Elizabeth River. You know, there were a lot of residents that were not outside at that time, but they did make their way outside once those divers got here to start their recovery efforts. Coming up tonight, new at 6, you'll hear from a woman that was here at this condo complex over here visiting her mother. She's here visiting from Miami, and she documented this entire recovery mission. We'll have that part of the story tonight, new at 6. Nicole?
That certainly is a busy area in the Freemason section where folks walk their dogs or ride their bikes or go for a run. We'll see you at 6. Thanks, Melanie.
Police say they now know who killed a Norfolk woman over the weekend. Charlene Mitchell turned herself in on yesterday. Investigators secured warrants against her for murder and grand larceny. She's accused of killing 27-year-old Michelle Bowie. Police found her inside an apartment on La Mesa Avenue early Sunday morning. Police aren't saying what type of relationship the two had, if any.
The man accused of killing 4 people in Newport News is fighting extradition from South Carolina. Police arrested John Reagan early Saturday morning. He said he didn't kill his wife and her 3 children. Police found their bodies inside this apartment on Old Courthouse Way Friday afternoon. Reagan's parents tell us they were shocked by the events.
He came here like he always do. You know, he didn't act no way out of the ordinary. He loved those kids, and I just can't, you know, accept it at this point at all, you know, what has happened. I just can't.
Extradition hearings could take a month or more. Once he returns to Virginia, he'll face 4 counts of first-degree murder. New tonight at 5:30, hear from the victim's first husband and biological father of the 3 children killed.
Well, we could see some rough weather this weekend thanks to Hurricane Irene. The storm blew through Puerto Rico this morning, leaving some 800,000 people without power. Right now, it's packing winds of 80 miles per hour and heading towards Hispaniola. 10 on your side, meteorologist Sigay Galindo is standing by now in the Super 10 Weather Center with those details. Sigay.
Yeah, that's right. Certainly could see some impacts from this storm this weekend, but it's still way too early to say exactly what will happen. But I want to show you the latest track. Right now, though, winds 80 miles per hour, and you can see some of those outer bands really sweeping over portions of Dominican Republic, the northern portion of the island there, and it will continue to interact with that. That might weaken it for a time, but we expect some strengthening over the next 2 to 3 days. This could become a Category 3 storm. That's where some of the models are projecting that the strength will be over the next 2 to 3 days. So yeah, we're going to be watching this storm extremely close. Right now, here's the latest path. Category 1 storm, 80 miles per hour. Notice expected to strengthen to a Category 2 storm by tomorrow afternoon, and those winds will be around 100 miles per hour. Then it'll head over the Bahama Islands by midweek around 2 o'clock. Still talking about some strengthening then, 110 miles per hour potentially. And you can see that cone of projection still pretty large. It still could impact Florida coast, maybe even South Carolina. Some of the models have it staying offshore, and some of them even have it maybe affecting the Outer Banks directly. So again, this is something that we're going to watch very closely. I want to show you the current models. Again, they take it toward the Bahamas and right over the Bahamas really with winds of 110 miles per hour. And then notice some of them veer off and keep it offshore. Others take it towards South Carolina and maybe even making landfall by then into South Carolina Saturday at 2 o'clock. Any impacts that we'll see from this will arrive mainly Saturday night into Sunday. So again, we are talking about things getting pretty interesting for the weekend. But again, the bottom line is it's still way too early to say exactly what will happen, but we will keep a close eye on Hurricane Irene. Right now, a couple of showers in North Carolina, but that's pushing out, and we are in for some very nice weather. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk more about the tropics and the smoke too. It's all coming up in a few minutes.
Preparations are now underway in the Sunshine State for Hurricane Irene. We'll show you how Florida is preparing for the big storm.
Then Libyan rebels took control of Tripoli today, but the country's leader is still MIA. Hear what President Obama had to say in a message to Muammar Gaddafi.
And did you know that 14 children fall out of a window every day? We'll show you what to do to keep your family safe.
You're watching WAVY News 10 at 5 with Tom Shad, Nicole Ribas, and Super Doppler 10 Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
Today, President Obama praised the breakthrough by Libyan rebels who, in a sudden advance, took control of Tripoli. But major issues remain unresolved, like where is Muammar Gaddafi and what kind of nation might Libya become now? Steve Handelsman has the latest from Washington.
The rebels and their many sympathizers are celebrating in Tripoli. They have control of the Libyan capital. What they want is Muammar Gaddafi. U.S. officials say there's no indication the erratic colonel has left Libya, and Gaddafi was defiant in a radio broadcast, not giving up, even though 3 of his sons were captured. President Obama applauded the rebel victory and pressured the defeated dictator.
Although it's clear that Gaddafi's rule is over, he still has the opportunity to reduce further bloodshed by explicitly relinquishing power to the people of Libya.
After 6 months, the breakthrough came yesterday and last night. Rebels streamed into Tripoli, helped by some of the heaviest NATO airstrikes of the conflict. The U.S. is still flying only surveillance missions, letting other nations take the more costly, dangerous roles. That was the Obama plan. No repeat of Iraq.
I actually think that he's going to get enormous credit for having negotiated a position that was supported by the entire Arab world, the entire international community.
But like Iraq after 2003, Libya is now unstable. Some rebel leaders might turn out to be anti-American Muslim fundamentalists.
We don't know, we still don't know to this day who the Libyan rebels really are. We've taken a leap of faith.
President Obama challenged all Libyans to end the conflict.
True justice will not come from reprisals and violence. It will come from reconciliation and a Libya that allows its citizens to determine their own destiny.
So far, it looks like a win for the Obama plan and for most Libyans. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Washington.
Aside from a few special forces, no U.S. ground troops went into Libya, and the Obama administration insists today none will be sent now.
Life in prison. That's the sentence for 2 Somali pirates who admitted to hijacking a yacht. 4 Americans on board the Quest were killed. Ali Mohammed and Burhan Yusuf are the first of 14 pirates in the case to be sentenced. 11 pleaded guilty. 3 others accused of shooting those on board pleaded not guilty.
All aboard light rail. Did long lines to ride the tide mean big business for Norfolk over the weekend? 10 on your side finds out. Then, do you hate getting bumped off a flight? Find out how new rules could soon benefit you and your bank account.
And the smoke back across North Carolina for today. We'll talk about where it will be for tomorrow, and we'll talk about what the potential effects a hurricane could have on the wildfire in North Carolina. We'll talk about that, or across Suffolk. We'll talk about that coming up in just a few minutes.
A big debut weekend for Norfolk's light rail. More than 75,000 people got on board the Tide.
And that's a lot of people, too. It also made us wonder if local businesses saw a boost because of it. So we sent in on your side's Walter Hildebrand to find out.
With $1 million overruns, it was enough to make you sick. But Hampton Roads caught light rail fever this weekend. Thousands turned out to ride the Tide this weekend, some just riding back and forth to try it out, but many others decided to stop and walk around. What did that mean for local businesses?
This weekend was crazy, actually. I would estimate that business probably tripled.
No surprise there, Bean There Cafe is right next to the MacArthur station. These empty chairs and tables were anything but on Saturday.
The majority of the time we had a line to the door. We didn't necessarily expect that much of a turnout. I mean, we're really happy that, you know, people are showing an interest in public transportation, but it was definitely interesting.
Further down the track, Serendip has watched the light rail closely. Business went south while the Tide was being constructed right in front of their store.
It was horrible. Absolutely suffered. If it weren't for the other businesses that go on in this building, I don't think we would have survived.
They're hoping the Tide turns business in their favor, and this weekend was promising.
Friday was a great day. Much busier Friday than normal. There was a lot of foot traffic, but there were a lot of sales also. A lot of new people came in the store.
No one knows what will happen when the honeymoon is over and ridership levels off, but one thing riders and business owners agree on is
when it goes to the beach and when it goes to the base, we'll be golden, but right now I'm not really sure who's going to ride it except people that live in downtown and work in downtown.
In Norfolk, Walter Hildebrand, 10 on your side.
We asked HRT officials if the hours for the Tide would change in the future. They said it wasn't up to them. It's up to the city to make that decision, and it will most likely depend on how many people decide to ride the Tide.
Well, if you're traveling by air this week, new rules are in place just to protect you. One of those rules lets the Transportation Department fine carriers up to $27,500 per passenger if an international flight waits on the tarmac for more than an hour. Well, more than 4 hours, actually. Passengers would get double the price of their ticket if they were bumped, up to a limit of $650, and a longer delay could cost airlines up to 4 times the ticket price, up to $1,300 a limit. Amazon is releasing a new Kindle for $50 under the standard model's price. The AT&T Kindle 3G with special offers comes with Wi-Fi and 3G without monthly fees. But for the discount, users will see ads for AT&T and other companies. Users will also be able to rent school books under the textbook rental service that offers them a discount.
Now, in high definition, your Super Doppler 10 forecast with meteorologist Sergey Galindo.
Well, we've got our first hurricane in the Atlantic so far this season, and it is Hurricane Irene. A very, very healthy storm, well-defined eye. I think some of the past storms that we've been watching have been very disorganized, not so much with this one, and we're looking at some further strengthening. Right now, winds up to 80 miles per hour, and you can see that minimum pressure there, 988 millibars. And right now, some of those outer bands affecting the Dominican Republic. It's going to continue to cross the mountainous terrain there. That's going to break it up a little bit, but not much. Still some strengthening expected over the next 24 to 48 hours, but I think strengthening over the next 12 hours is really going to come to a halt as it really crosses over that mountainous terrain. So we put things into motion. You can see potentially a Category 2 by tomorrow afternoon, as again, this thing is still going to be in a pretty good environment for some more strengthening. And you notice by Wednesday, 2 o'clock over the Bahama Islands, that may break it up some, and then maybe even still strengthening to a Category 3. Some of the models earlier had it really affecting the Florida coast. Now a lot of those keep it just offshore and maybe even making landfall anywhere from South Carolina and maybe even the Outer Banks as a Category 1, and that is down. Earlier some of the models had it making landfall as a Category 3, but now it looks like it potentially could be a Category 1. Still a lot of uncertainty from now until what happens this weekend, so we're going to be following things closely. But one thing we have been watching is the models, and the models are still kind of all over the place a bit. You notice some of them still have it going toward Florida. A couple of them have it going toward South Carolina. Others keep it going toward the Outer Banks or even offshore. So still a lot to talk about, and we'll be watching the trends very closely to see exactly what will happen with the storm. Nothing to get panicked over, but something to certainly continue to monitor the forecast. And we've been talking about the winds, and in terms of the impact, this could have a very good impact in terms of rainfall. It's hard to say exactly how much rain we could get, but certainly will put a big dent, I think, on this wildfire in the Suffolk. So again, something we're going to continue to watch as well. In terms of the smoke, it's back across North Carolina, and it hasn't been real thick. The reason being is we've got some breezy conditions in place, but tomorrow those winds will die down a bit. So again, it's going to still continue to keep the smoke mostly across North Carolina with that northerly flow. Right now, you notice a couple of showers and storms continuing to exit offshore and really weakening and dying as they do so. We had just mostly the showers and storms for today in North Carolina, and that's really going to continue to diminish as we head forward tonight as we get that northerly dry air really working its way down toward the south. Right now, very nice conditions. Low 80s, Newport News, 81, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, 82, low 80s, Hampton, Chesapeake, Suffolk, 86 degrees. So we're in this cooler pocket of air, and we're going to continue to stay there with high pressure really camped out across the area through the day for tomorrow. Then after that, things begin to change a little bit. We start to get some warmer temperatures. So we've got that high back in place for tomorrow. The cold front that pushed through this weekend, it'll continue to head toward the east. So we go through Future Track, again, shows the beautiful conditions in store for tomorrow. 2 o'clock tomorrow looking nice, and all through Wednesday, we're talking some very, very pleasant conditions. So I wanted to show you the forecast. Accidentally skipped past North Carolina, but you're talking temperatures in the 80s for tomorrow, and the same situation on the south side, low to mid 80s. Very nice conditions. Abundant sunshine for the peninsula for tomorrow, 86 Williamsburg, but Pocosa and Hampton temperatures in the low 80s, and the same thing for the northern neck, middle peninsula and eastern shore, temperatures in the low 80s as well, with lots of sunshine and a little bit warmer as we go into the day on Tuesday. 85 degrees, more clouds and warmer conditions on Thursday with more of a southerly flow starting to kick in. Friday, a chance for some showers and storms, and really the weekend is where we're going to continue to really watch the tropics very closely, because that eventual track will determine what we see for Saturday and Sunday. But for now, it looks like we could see some heavy rain and some breezy conditions as we near the end of the weekend.
A flu shot might stop you from getting sick, but find out how the newest version could save your life.
He's taking his place next to some of our country's greatest leaders. Tonight, 10 on Your Side takes a tour of the new Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. You know, during the summer, parents often open windows to cool down the house. Little do they know that simple act is putting their children at risk. Thousands of children are rushed to the emergency room each year after falling out of an open window. An average 14 children a day. Most of the cases were among boys under the age of 5. Doctors say that screens give a false sense of security.
When we had information about screens, over 80% of the time the child fell through the screen, so they simply won't keep a child from falling out of the window.
Experts say the best way to prevent falls is to install window guards or window stops.
We are barely out of summer cold season, but doctors are already thinking about the flu. This year's flu shot was designed to protect against the seasonal flu and H1N1. The vaccine only protects for about a year, so experts say an annual flu shot is necessary. The CDC recommends everyone over the age of 6 months be vaccinated. Some stores are already offering flu shots.
Virginia native Chris Brown is coming home. Find out when and where he'll be performing in Hampton Roads.
3 of his children were brutally murdered in Newport News. Tonight, we are hearing from their father about the deaths. That story, new at 5:30.
Hello, Miss Segay. Segay? How are you?
Okay.
What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm good. I'm just thinking.
She doesn't like you, Andy.
What would I do? I'm
Virginia native Chris Brown will take to the stage in Virginia Beach this fall. Brown is bringing his Fame tour to Farm Bureau Live on October the 9th. He'll be performing with T-Pain and Tyga. Now, tickets go on sale next week. Stay with us. WAVY News 10 at 5:30 starts right now.